The next thing we're going to do before we actually start on the base plan is to talk about the scale rulers. Now, a lot of people took drafting in high school, and you end up with a little collection of rulers that you can't really remember how to use or what they're for. And of course, we have a regular ruler. So I carry a few rulers with me, and this one is this is a metric ruler, 1 to 100, and so on, 1 to 500. I keep this one because that's how I read my real property reports. So sometimes the scale is not actually written on your real property report, but if you go through and apply the ruler, you'll just try a few different scales and you'll figure out which one it is. So this one is 1 to 250. So that's metric, and we're in an interesting place in Canada where we use both metric and imperial. If you're a contractor, you tend to use a lot of imperial, and if you work for government offices doing anything, it's going to be in metric for sure, and most people in school learn metric, so it's we can do it either way. So if you're using metric, you're going to use the smaller scale to draw this size of plan would be 1 to 50. So that means 1 centimeter equals 50 centimeters. And if you're using imperial, the scales I find are really confusing to discuss. So in this case we have the 1/4, which means every 1/4 inch is a foot, or every inch is going to be 4 feet. So the confusing part is that at the other end of the same scale ruler is 1/8. I use 1/8 when I'm making acreage plans, and you'll notice there's a little 0 on this end, so you start from that 0 and you read it this way. The 1/4 scale, there's a 0 here, and you read it that way. So it gets a little confusing at about 32. I think there's a 32 here and a 32 here, but generally you can figure it out. So I wanted to clarify with the imperial and the metric rulers, it can be a little bit tricky to think about this. But what we're going to do is just draw a line, and if we look at the ruler I have here, 1 to 100, we're going to make a tick mark here, and that's 1 centimeter, and it actually equals 100 centimeters. So that's where the metric system is quite simple. They write it 1 to 100. Whereas when we look at the imperial system, this is 0 and this is 4 feet, and this is 1 inch from here to here. So they're saying 1 inch equals 4 feet. So you can see that we're actually mixing units here. It's inches and feet, whereas the metric system, it is 1 to 100 in this case, 1 to 100, but it's all the same units. So you're going to see centimeters and centimeters, or meters and meters, and that's why it can be a little bit confusing when you're first looking at the two different systems, why it feels a bit awkward.